want to pick some position battles ourselves, and we'll do this based on who we think is going to get more snaps. And obviously, there's 11 more practices ahead of us for the spring, and then the springtime, and then an entire off season, and then the entire fall practice schedule before the season starts. But want to get you guys on record here about who do we think is going to play more snaps today. We'll start with offense, and we'll do defense next week. So you guys are wholly unprepared for this segment. That's why I like it. So of the two, who do you think will get more snaps next year? Graham Mertz or Jack Miller?
Graham Mertz.
Murder Mertz.
Yeah, Mertz mania.
I gotta watch what I say on these podcast streets. Got people chopping and screwing the things I'm saying.
We only take what you said, bro. We didn't add any words. We didn't take away any words.
I believe a lot of context was taken away.
I also heard Graham Mertz, Murder Mertz, and Mertz Mania. So we'll see what ultimately is the nickname that we stick with.
Murder Mertz for now. It just hits a little different. It's nothing for now because he hasn't done anything. But if I have to pick one that sounds the best, it would be Murder Mertz.
Okay, so not Graham Mertz.
Mertz? Oh, that sounds all right.
Yeah. I wish I could say I thought of that one, but I didn't.
Sorry. We'll see how he plays.
I'm just on Mertz Mania right now. All right. We have a running back who will get more snaps, not more yards, more snaps. Montrell Johnson or ETN?
That's tough. Wasn't prepared for this.
It's a tough one.
Put some thought into it.
Same Montrell.
Montrell? I'm going to go with ETN.
Montrell more last year. A little bit older. I think you do have that 1-2 punch. I guess the coin flip might be who's better in pass protection, who's getting those third downs, who's better catching the ball to also be on third downs to be part of that offensive package. The more packages you can be in, the more snaps you're going to get. So if they have questions about you pass blocking, you're not going to be in on third downs.
Right.
So you're taking yourself off the field just by not being ready. And that's something Trevor Etienne had said when I got here. Pass blocking, not necessarily how to block, but who to block on a play was something totally new for him. And that happens to a lot of high school running backs because if you're a running back that's good enough to go to a University of Florida, your high school coach is probably not wasting time having you block. He's just handing you the ball. So Trevor will get better at that. I think that's probably where Trayon Webb is right now. Never having really been asked to block in his life. So I think, Trevor will get better in that, but Montrell, I think, will get more snaps.
I appreciate the breakdown, Nick. Give me Montrell.
All right. So I'm going out on a limb here.
I think if they go hot hand, you could go either way if it's just a hot hand, but adding in the other nuances of pass blocking, being an older guy, I think talent-wise, they're about even, man. You can't go wrong with either guy. Love both of their skill sets, but I go with Trell just because he's older and been with Billy a little longer.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I thought Etienne had a great press conference the other day. Had some really thoughtful answers and everything else. So I'm going to go with him for no other reason than to just be a little bit different than you guys. Damian George versus Keontae Goodwin. Who's going to get more snaps? Both clamoring for that right side tackle position. Damian George or Keontae Goodwin?
I'm going to go Goodwin just because it sounds close right now. If it's closer, you go with the younger guy with a higher upside, which would be Keontae Goodwin. So give me Goodwin.
Keontae. And shout out to the other Keontae playing well in March. Keontae Johnson playing well in March. We were watching that on our drive back yesterday.
Yeah. Shout out to Keontae Johnson. Helps take down Kentucky with Kansas State going into the Sweet 16. Always nice to see a former Florida Gator taking down an SEC rival and keeping them out of March. And with Kansas losing, the Gators are still the only will still remain as the only back-to-back champions since they won back in 2006, 2007. And finally, let's get into tight end.
What a wasted opportunity, man.
What a wasted opportunity.
What a wasted opportunity. Back-to-back champs. We should have, whatever. What you got, Dan?
Yeah. Last one, Jonathan Odom. That's where I was going. Do want to thank Jason Odom. Had a great interview with him last week. But want to ask you guys at tight end, who do you think is going to get more snaps overall? So we've got, pass catching and run blocking, and obviously 3 different types of tight ends here. You have Jonathan Odom, Arliss Boardingham, or Keon Zipper. Who do you think is going to get the most snaps next season?
Zip.
Let me go. I'm gonna go with one of the traditional guys. Let me Odom. I think Boardingham could push it just because they're traditional guys that could possibly block. I know Zip brings more lead, just snaps and playmaking abilities, but Odom came on towards the end of the season, starting to figure it out a little bit. He's a bigger body, same as Arliss. I think those guys are going to see more snaps. They just got to get more acclimated to the college game a little bit, and this offseason be perfect for it. So I think they, if not even, I think they get more snaps than Zip on the lowest of keys.
Yeah, no, I think I'm going to go Jonathan Odom too. I think that he's going to be a slightly better blocker. I think that he showed that he could pass catch. I think that he won a lot of coaches' credit last season with the couple touchdown opportunities that he had as well. So I think we see a little bit more of him going into next year, but certainly hopeful that one of them will step up and emerge as the Gators' true starting tight end. And certainly excited to see what Arliss Boardingham can do. Looks like a completely different animal out there than the Gators have had at tight end. Big, bulky, can seemingly move well. I know that I think it was Ben Troop that was giving him a lot of credence on the timeline a couple of weeks ago as well. So excited to see him, but ultimately just excited to see anybody emerge into that tight end role. So that's it for offense. Any other offensive player battles that you guys want to talk about?
Outside receiver.
Okay.
I think Andy Jean, if he's not starting by week 1, will be starting at receiver at some point in 23.
Okay.
It's hard to put him outside. I think he separates. He's not the fastest of the bunch that's coming in from high school, but the route running, the ability to stop and go and to accelerate in between cuts and whatnot is just going to separate him from most of the guys in that room. So, yeah, Andy Jean, interested to see how – I know Ricky Pearsall going to have that slot locked down, but Gene Wilson is going to be a tough guy to keep off of the field. So, interesting to see because he's not here spring neither. So I want to see how fast he moves up the depth chart and what kind of plays he's making fall camp, because that type of explosion is hard to keep off the field.
Yeah, same with you have Eugene Wilson and Aiden Mizell. Both are certainly going to be clamoring for those spots as well. But Nick, what do you have as the matchup? You have Xavier Henderson versus Andy Jean.
No, I think Xavier Henderson's on one side and Andy Jean's on the other. And then I guess we're looking at, who else is going to be. I think right now you're looking at 4 or 3 starters at receiver.
Yeah.
And Pearsall and Henderson have 2 of the spots. And the other one is just kind of open.
Outside would have to be like Jaquavion Frazier's, Caleb Douglas.
I think I have Caleb Douglas. I haven't heard much of him in spring practice. That doesn't mean anything. Obviously, there's limited time there, but I think Caleb Douglas was certainly somebody that stepped up last year. Marcus Burke's another one.
Right.
Ty. Whatever.
There's a bunch of guys. I don't think anyone. I mean, listen, we're
Ty Bowman.
A handful. He's inside. Ty Bowman's inside. And I think. I think Eugene Wilson, I would have pegged him to possibly take the slot job if Ricky Pearsall hadn't come back.
Yeah, so certainly be interesting to see. There's certainly a different caliber of talent that's being infused out of high school this year going into the 2023 season than we've probably anticipated, both in type of receiver and speed of that receiver. But I think that Caleb Douglas is somebody that a lot of us were high on last year. Marcus Burke, the same. And now it's an opportunity as Jaquavion Frazier's who, tried to transfer. Is he going to be able to step up? What do we see out of Ricky Pearsall? What do we see, out of Andy Jean? The Gators haven't really had fantastic freshman wide receiver play in quite some time. Could an Andy Jean and Aiden Mizell, Eugene Wilson be one of those, next top flight wide receivers? I don't even know. Do you guys remember off the top of your head the last time the Gators truly had outstanding freshman wide receiver play?
Antonio Callaway.
Pretty good. Yeah.
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 And that was 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. 8 years ago.
Yeah. Just trying to think back. Like, did we miss any opportunities for a freshman? I don't think so. This class is very, I think, very talented. Aiden Mizell gets the least amount of talk. And I think it's because of injury wise, and also he's a little slender on the smaller side than the other two. But he's very capable as well. I hope I'm wrong, because Mizell has some very good top end speed, but to me, he has some body maturing to do this offseason to be ready to play in the SEC every week.
Yeah. Be interesting to watch, but it's obviously an exciting time in Gator Nation.